One Tonne Life is presented by Vattenfall, Volvo and a-hus. The Lindell family have reduced their CO2 emissions by 65%, and they are now down to 2.6 to 2.7 tons per person per year. Despite this, the family are still living a comfortable life. Know-how, changes in behavior, and of course the new technology have all helped carry them this far. But is it possible to get all the way down to 1 ton?
To get to know what it's like living a one-ton life for a few weeks, that will be very interesting, challenging and interesting, but already I can tell as a family we would not be prepared to live that kind of life in the long run, but for a test period, yes.
We're enjoying a fairly comfortable lifestyle as things are today. We've made a few changes, no doubt about that, but it still feels very pleasant. So we're really curious to find out what it's going to feel like when things get a little less pleasant. We introduced the family to Fredrik Hedenius of the Chalmers University of Technology, who is responsible for tracking the family's CO2 emissions on a weekly basis. Meat consumption has dropped a bit from before the start of the project, and dairy produce is pretty much what it was before. Otherwise, it's usually the case that when you cut down on meat, you often make up for it with high-fat cheeses. We've cut back a bit on cheese, but otherwise we're about where we were before. Fredrik showed us graphs of our consumption patterns for various items, and I have to say I'm really quite pleased with our performance so far. It looks quite good actually. We've cut down considerably on certain things, but we still have quite a lot yet to do.
If I would summarize how the family have done so far, I think they've made a good job. Especially the transport emissions have reduced by more than 90%. They still have some work to do when it comes to food and also other consumption like clothing and online shopping. But especially where they have got the help from new technology, you can see that the emissions have reduced quite significantly.
Food is a big part of it. Then there's that rucksack consisting of the house and furniture. That's really where the main focus is. The car is actually a relatively minor part in assessing what is most important, less important, and easy. It was cool seeing the statistics, what to get rid of, how to reduce our carbon dioxide footprint.
When they eat at restaurants, some persons in the family mainly eat vegetarian food or chicken, whereas some still eat quite a lot of beef, and from that you can see that there are some food patterns that causes lower emissions than others.
Where I feel I can save most is by cutting back even more on meats. Do you know what food to make? Not entirely, but I thought we'd ask ICA for advice. Compose a week's menu with just vegetarian dishes. Now that the family is going to try and get down to 1 ton, well, that's when they face their real challenge. Since food still accounts for a very large proportion of their total emissions, that's where they're going to have to make some serious choices. And when it comes to reducing their carbon emissions, it's immensely important not to lose sight of the health aspects, particularly for a family with teenage children like the Lindells. When your body is growing, when you're going to school and you have to be able to learn things the whole day, it's vital that you eat properly, that your diet includes sufficient iron, plenty of protein, lots of energy. That's an area we're monitoring very closely. We're advising the family in great detail on how to ensure they're getting all they need of these important substances. The thing is that a large proportion of the energy they consume comes from the sun, so there isn't really a whole lot more for them to do there. But if they use less electricity, they can sell the surplus they produce. And that's good news because it has a positive effect on their overall carbon dioxide balance. So there's always good reason to cut electricity consumption. Since you have such a special car and such a special electricity production system at home, it's very advantageous for you to travel together by car compared with traveling by public transport. In general, if you had a regular petrol-powered car, this would not have been the case.
There are some things that are very close to my heart and some things that I do every day that are going to be hard to give up. But still, I think it's good to try it. I mean, it's only for a few weeks, so then we'll go back to more and more.
Don't try your persuasion tactics on me. That's a real salesman's pitch you're trying on there.
I think, maybe right or wrong, that my wife Alicia and daughter Hannah will be more attached to some habits than me and Jonathan is. So I think we hanging in there to the One Tonne Life is going to be easier for me and Jonathan than for them.
One number that I have been surprised by before is that horses have such a big carbon footprint.
When the students at Hannah's school in Nacka organized a Green Day, an event to inspire a more sustainable lifestyle and greener entrepreneurship, the students invited the OTL experts to give presentations and participate in a panel discussion. The One Tonne Life project is so concrete and so concretely presented that today we need narratives to make things easy to understand. Environmental issues often tend to feel rather remote from our everyday lives. What we need is to make the topic far more mainstream, far more accessible, quite simply hotter. Here we've really succeeded, linking together research, business and the very latest developments with the students' concrete questions. That's really very exciting, I feel. What do the family think now they've had some time to absorb all the figures Fredrik presented? Is 2.6 tons the absolute pain threshold?
I really have no idea how going to. Right now it feels very good since we have already went down so much. So maybe we will reach our goal and get down to 1 ton.
The family have done an amazing job. So even if they were to say that 2.6 tons is what they can manage, well, just imagine if all families were able to do as much. What a difference that would make. I see this as an adventure. I mean, the whole point of the project is to see if we can get down to 1 ton. Of course, we want to give it our best shot.
We got into this project and the goal, the name of the thing is One Tonne Life. So we want to reach it, you know, competing spirit.
In the next program, we'll see if the family reached their target, 1 Tonne Life. And we'll also get to meet landscape architect Johan Pajo and others. Don't miss it.